Coming up on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, we're talking about the quarterback position because that's the biggest area of need for Pittsburgh during the offseason. But first, we launched this channel less than a year ago, and already we've picked up nearly 9,000 subs. I want Steelers fans to show up and show out by subscribing to the channel. How quickly can we get to 9K subs? Let me ask you this too. If you're looking for the best Steelers news and rumors on YouTube, why would you go anywhere else? Keep it locked right here by hitting that big red button, and let's break down these quarterback targets right now. Welcome into Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Hope all of you are having a fantastic week. Just a reminder, NFL free agency coming your way next week. We have you covered with all things Steelers. Another reminder to subscribe. Let's start breaking down these quarterback targets for Pittsburgh. And there's been a lot of quarterback movement so far in the NFL offseason. Aaron Rodgers going back to the Green Bay Packers. Russell Wilson being traded from the Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. Carson Wentz, the latest domino to fall, as the Indianapolis Colts sent him back to the NFC East to the Washington Commanders. So that leads to us talking about a potential Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Now, a lot of people are talking about Jimmy G to the Indianapolis Colts, but I think right now we're looking at a bidding war between Pittsburgh and Indy, two teams who are ready to win right now and looking for quarterback upgrades, and both organizations would rather not go after a rookie quarterback to start this year because those rosters are ready to win, and the quarterback class in the NFL draft, as we've covered here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, is also very thin. So Jimmy G might be the best trade option left on the open market among some of the quarterbacks who could be made available by the 32 teams in the National Football League, and the Steelers have been linked to multiple quarterbacks this offseason, including some light rumors hovering around Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I think Garoppolo is somewhat underrated. You look at his leadership intangibles and him being the face of the franchise, he certainly brings that to the table. And did his numbers last year just pop off the screen at you? 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, completed 68% of his passes while throwing for less than 4,000 yards? No. But if you watch the 49ers closely, he was really good at the end of games and in 2-minute drills at the end of games, as well as leading into halftime, and really does just operate as a point guard within the offense, where he just takes which reads are there and he distributes the ball. And the Steelers have a bunch of weapons that he can do that with at the running back spot, tight end, as well as wide receiver. As far as Russell Wilson, he is no longer going to be a target for the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, because he waived his no-trade clause to only one team, and that was the Denver Broncos. And Russ going to Denver is very, very fascinating. He comes into the same conference as Pittsburgh in the AFC. It makes the AFC West a gauntlet, playing alongside in that division of Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and that roster is intriguing with Albert Okwuegbunam at tight end. You have KJ Hamler coming off the torn ACL, Jerry Jeudy, as well as some other really good options like Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick, and Javonte Williams at the running back spot is good, and that defense is exceptional as well. So Russell Wilson added the cards. The same can also be said for Aaron Rodgers, who went back to Green Bay just hours before Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos. So the Steelers are now left with only a couple of options out there and a couple of avenues in which they can upgrade at the quarterback spot: free agency, trade, as well as the NFL draft. As far as that Indy-Washington trade, which went down today, Carson Wentz going back to the NFC East, as I talked about, to the Washington Commanders. Oh, the drama of him playing the Eagles twice a year. And Washington also receives a 2022 second-round pick. The Colts receive a second-round pick this year, a third-round pick this year, and a third-round pick in 2023. Let's go back to Jimmy Garoppolo here. So this is why I think Jimmy Garoppolo now is the best option for Pittsburgh. They've done a great job of identifying wide receiver talent. I love Najee Harris as a running back. Pat Freiermuth is an absolute beast. Had an opportunity to watch him up close and personal a couple years ago when I covered Penn State football, and Jimmy Garoppolo really operates well with an elite tight end. He did so for so long with George Kittle, and while he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world to complete passes outside the numbers, if he operates inside the numbers and inside the hashes, he can really be successful, and Pittsburgh likes to do those things offensively. Should Pittsburgh trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? I want you to treat the comment section like a Sports Talk Radio call-in line. Let me know in the comment section down below. This will also be the pinned comment on today's video. Type T for trade for Jimmy G, P for pass on him. You let me know and voice your opinions in the comment section. We continue to talk about quarterbacks here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. If the 49ers don't trade away Jimmy Garoppolo to the Pittsburgh Steelers, what are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to do? Could they settle for one of the second-tier options in Jameis Winston, who's set to be a free agent, as well as Mitchell Trubisky? Now, Trubisky has really had an up and down and somewhat rocky career, a top 5 pick for the Chicago Bears coming out of UNC, and the Bears passed on Deshaun Watson in order to draft Mitchell Trubisky, and because of that, Matt Nagy was fired, Ryan Pace, general manager, was let go. Mitchell Trubisky has athletic qualities, there's no doubt about that. But can he be a long-term starter? I certainly have questions. This is what Trubisky did in 2020 as the starter for Chicago when he was in and out of the lineup because he kept getting benched for Nick Foles, completed around 67% of his throws, more than 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns to 8 picks. Now, I think Mitchell Trubisky is more of a one-read guy, but from an athletic component, if the Steelers want to run a little bit more read option, then Trubisky intrigues me. If they don't and they want to do some more prototypical drop-back quarterback things, then maybe Jameis Winston is the better option. From a pure throwing the football perspective, going through your progressions, throwing the ball downfield, stretching the field vertically, Jameis Winston can bring that component to Pittsburgh, and I actually think he's somewhat underrated. Look, a couple of years ago with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he threw for 3,000, 4,000 yards, 30-plus touchdowns. The problem with him, decision-making, because he threw 30 interceptions in that same season, the only quarterback to throw 30 tutties and 30 picks in the same year. I was kind of upset and felt bad for Jameis Winston last year. He finally had some stability around him with a really good coach in Sean Payton, and he was playing some decent football prior to tearing that ACL. 14 touchdowns, 3 picks, had a good run game, had a good defense on the opposite side of the football, and then his season gets cut short with that torn ACL. So we weren't fully able to see what Jameis could do with one of the best coaches in the history of the NFL in Sean Payton. If he comes to Pittsburgh, I definitely think he's a better option than Trubisky, and I think he's a better option than players on the roster like Mason Rudolph. If you could pick one of these two quarterbacks to start for Pittsburgh in 2022, who are you going with? JW for Jameis Winston, MT for Mitchell Trubisky. Pittsburgh Steelers Talk presented to you today thanks to our sportsbook partner BetUS. All year they've been offering the best deal for any sportsbook out there. All you have to do, very simple. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use that link at the bottom of your screen as well as the promo code Steelers125. And the NCAA tournament is tipping off next week. In my opinion, best sporting event on the sporting calendar outside of the Super Bowl. And the road to a national title is wide open between Gonzaga, Arizona, Kentucky, Duke, and Baylor. Maybe another team factors into the equation as well. Here are your national title odds. Get those bets in. Bet on some basketball to make it even more drama-filled by going to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Steelers125. Now, of course, free agency is an avenue in which the Steelers can look to fill the void at the quarterback position. So too is the NFL draft. Let's update you on some of the top quarterback prospects. No particular order here. Matt Corral, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Carson Strong, and Sam Howell. Desmond Ridder has to be in this conversation as well. Some people actually think he could be the top quarterback in this year's draft class. Reminds me a lot from an intangible perspective of Dak Prescott, and just won a bunch of games at Cincinnati 2 years ago. Almost beat Georgia the season prior to them winning the national championship in a bowl game. But let's focus in here on Malik Willis. If he comes to Pittsburgh, I have confidence that Malik Willis is going to be able to have success. Why is that? There's stability, there's continuity, and there's a foundation in Pittsburgh. And this isn't a chaotic organization. He has a good coaching staff, has a good run game, has some good weapons at the wide receiver and tight end spots. And the Steelers always like to play complementary football because they have a really good defense as well. So Malik Willis is raw. He certainly has to work on his game, has to fine-tune his mechanics, and didn't really operate an offense at Liberty that that is the most pro-ready offense. But if he comes to Pittsburgh, I think you can find a way to implement him into the starting lineup at some point this year without damaging his confidence, because he has the athletic upside to really make up for him being inexperienced. Now, could the Steelers trade up in the NFL draft to take him? That's a possibility. And if they want to draft Malik Willis, they might have to, because Willis continues to climb up draft boards. You take a look at some recent mocks out there, some draft experts have him going top 10. Steelers don't have a top 10 pick. So the Steelers might have to trade up for Malik Willis if they think he can be the quarterback of the future. Would you want the Steelers to trade up to get a quarterback? Or would you rather them wait for next year to take a player like, I don't know, Bryce Young, but that would mean they have a disastrous 2022 campaign? You let me know. Y for yes, N for no. Thanks so much for watching today's show, and show us love if you like today's content by hitting that red subscribe button.